So I just found out that there were riots in 1994 here in Louisville. I had only known about the 68 riots and the 75 riots, but in 1994, Antonio Sullivan was an 18-year-old who had got shot by was accidentally shot when he jumped out of the closet, according to two white police officers. You also had, this is a 92, I think, James Taylor, who was killed, and they said that he was killed by Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill. And Michael O'Neill and Brian Luckett, they claimed that James Taylor had a knife. He was handcuffed behind his back. He had a knife. He lunged at him, and they shot and they killed him. Shot him several times. And the whole that just sounds, absolutely. You're handcuffed. When you're handcuffed, I mean, if you're handcuffed, what do you got? You're like, behind, hands behind your back or whatever. And then if you have a knife, say this is a knife, right? So if I have a knife, I'm gonna get you, like this. I just feel like I'd be off stumbling, I'd be off balance. You can, it's just, a knife. It can slice you. But lethal force automatically. They didn't frisk him. They didn't check him out. And it just sounds bogus. It sounds like horse shit, to be honest with you. Maybe he was just annoying to them, and so they did some damage to him. So that happened also too. And I'm going to do a more in-depth presentation of all the abuse, and for right now I'm going to talk about some other things. Okay, so other news that's happening. This is posted October 9th, Reuters.com. So Reuters, that's pretty respectable, right? Louisville Gas and Electric and Kentucky Utilities plan to seek approval from Kentucky utility regulators to build a natural gas-fired power plant and a solar facility to replace retiring coal plants and meet future demand growth, the company said in a statement. The utilities, both units of the PPL Corporation of Pennsylvania, since all of our money is just going to Pennsylvania, right? The Kentucky Utilities, Louisville Gas and Electric, they're being owned by a CEO out of Pennsylvania. Well, Kentucky Coal, that money isn't staying here amongst ourselves. It's being shipped up to Pennsylvania. You want to talk about the great legacy of Mitch McConnell. How come the Kentucky Utilities is owned by Pennsylvania? How are we keeping that money here? If they're public-owned utilities, we would be making that money, and that money would stay right here. 1 megawatt powers about 1,000 homes. The solar facility will cost about $25 million, have a capacity of about 10 megawatts. The utility said they're looking at several sites of the solar facility. So they're going to build solar power. That's good. They should be developing more solar power combined technology. So solar power, there's a gas plant online 2012, and the solar facility 2016. So by 2016 there'll be a solar plant, these are all good developments. I don't know, a lot of times they're being forced to, they're the coal and oil industry, so they're being forced to find alternative visions because they, eventually they will run out, and so they need to get into the energy market of when they're going to be picked up by other stuff. Gas plant creates 40 full-time jobs once it enters service. 2011, the utilities announced they'll retire 800 megawatts of older coal-fired generation at the Cane Run, Green River, and Tyrone power plants over the next several years, due in part to increased federal environmental regulations. To replace the generation from the retiring coal plants, the companies are building a 640 megawatt gas plant at Cane Run, expected to enter service in mid-2015. So the pollution, Cane Run, that is fucking up all the residents here in Louisville, they're going to replace it. They're going to replace it with a gas plant, a plant that uses natural gas. So there are also requests for proposals for any new generations of companies. Evaluate the bids, which include renewable energy, existing energy within Kentucky, and build a new generation. Decide to build a second gas plant in the solar facility. If approved, the LG&E and KU said their overall generation capacity would be 59% coal-fired, 40% natural gas-fired, and 1% renewable. The utilities serve 1.2 million customers in Kentucky and Virginia. So we pay 1.2 million people in Virginia and Kentucky pay Kentucky Utilities, and they pay LG&E, but Kentucky and Utilities and LG&E, all that money goes to PPL. So Power something and Light Corporation, PPL of New York Consolidated Energy Utility Holding Company, PPL, something Power and Light. Something Power and Light, but PPL Corporation out of Pennsylvania. We're making some rich Pennsylvania family a shit ton of money, while our Kentucky coal becomes more and more dug up. There's an Amber Alert that happened. A 2-year-old was found safe and unharmed. They found him, the man, who's the biological father of the lady. The daughter is Jalen Maxey, and he is Joshua Yeager. And he had his 2-year-old in the vehicle, and he led police on a chase on Interstate 65 southbound late Tuesday night. So the Amber Alert was issued against him. He's on Interstate 65 going south. Probably out of Louisville. Yeager was taken into custody early Wednesday morning along U.S. Route 31. Yeager, 24, is believed to have robbed the Stockyard Bank and Trust in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Police say Yeager took a gun out of the child's Doc McStuffins backpack. They also say he has a long criminal history. Maxie, too, has been missing since Saturday. So this is an interesting case. There's a biological father kidnaps his daughter, which, that's interesting by itself. Doesn't a biological father have right to have access to his daughter? But he's in, dire straits. He's in a desperate situation. What would drive a person to kidnap the child? I mean, what could he think that he could do? He's robbing banks, got a kidnapped child. He thinks he could just run around the country and that he'll never be caught for that. So what drove him to do that? What desperation? What's going on in his life? Has he been restricted from seeing her? Is he not allowed to see her? Have they, kept the father from being able to see his daughter? It's also interesting because when you try to reverse the situation, I've heard of cases where the mother would give up the kid for adoption, or there'd be, she would have someone else carry the kid, and then she would appeal to get the child back. So even though she put it up for adoption, since she's the biological mother, she tries to get the child back. And also, if someone else had the baby, or she had the baby for someone else, I don't know. These all bring up a lot of weird issues. So I would love to actually talk about or see what happens to Mr. Yeager. The child was in one piece. She wasn't hurt, and so it doesn't sound like he's a bad father. He doesn't try to hurt his daughter, but he was put in a desperate situation where he had to get money and be on the lam just so he could see his child. And so that's not fair. And thank goodness the child is all right, because he did take her on this journey, but she was in one piece, so he did not intend to do harm to her. It's by, I guess, whatever, he's unemployed or is out, has no money or whatever is happening, and had to rob a bank, and so and he's on a high speed police chase, right? So that's the police chasing him. That kind of pushes him to be more dangerous than what he typically would be. So that's an interesting case. The Amber Alert the Amber Alert usually is used for a grandfather or somebody else who that the child knows. It's usually a family relation who kidnaps the children. October 9th, Josh Kaufman. The article, Wave 3. Women charged in a string of burglaries. Louisville, Kentucky. 2 women are accused of breaking into numerous homes near EP Tom Sawyer Park in the Moreland and Keeneland neighborhoods, taking a total more of $12,000 in property. So that's 2 white women up in Highlands, it looks like, up in the East End, so in a nicer neighborhood. Emily Vadnays, 26, of Louisville, is accused of driving Christian Broyles, 30, to houses when Broyles would then enter and take belongings. The property was located in a search after the suspects gave consent. Police said the houses were located on Cimarron Trail, Fountain Avenue, Huns Lane, Military Avenue, Westmoreland Way, and Whips Mill Road. The women live in the Meadowbrook Farm neighborhood on Farham Drive in a home near the burglarized homes. Van Dyke faces 8 counts of burglary and a charge of receiving stolen property under $10,000. Broyles faces 9 counts of burglary along with receiving stolen property under $10,000. So, that's interesting. 2 white women are going around breaking into houses. Here's another white woman that's in the news. October 9th, Laurel Mallory, Wave 3 story. Husband calls cops on wife to report drunk driving. Husband, upset with his wife, called the cops and told them she drove home from work drunk. Just before 1 a.m. Wednesday, officers responded to the couple's home at 4612 Pulaski Court near I-265 in Ballardsville Road in Worthington Hills on the northeast side of Louisville. When they got there, police said they found Amanda Tekken, 27, in her bed still fully clothed. According to her arrest report, Tekken told officers she worked a closing shift at the Macaroni Grill and drank about 3 glasses of wine while rolling silverware. She got home, her husband, Oder Tekin, said she started a fight. He told police she drove home drunk. Amanda admitted to the cops she had driven home and pointed out which car was hers in the driveway. Officer said they performed a standard field sobriety test on her. According to her arrest report, she failed the test and blood alcohol content, BAC, was 0.244, which is 3 times the legal limit of 0.08. She was arrested and taken to jail on an aggravated DUI charge, first offense. Once at the Louisville Department of Metro Corrections, police found her name was not Amanda Tekin, as they noted in a arrest report. She was booked as Amanda Jeffrey. So, yeah, that's... Husband calls on the wife. Now she has a DUI charge. When she drove home drunk, she started a fight. And I hate that the situation went like this, but I wonder if that's the best way. Because what else could he have done? If he retaliated in any way, then he's going to jail. And maybe she might get the help. But a DUI charge comes with pretty substantial punishments. That's the first offense, so they'll go easy on her, perhaps. And they don't have the evidence except for, she admitted to it and he said something about it, and they blew the alcohol level. She could have just drunk that at the house, that didn't have to be drinking on the way from the thing. So they didn't actually have an open and shut case. And it's a rough situation, because I'm not sure what I would have done in the situation. I don't know if it's the right thing, but I'm not sure if I could have thought of a better thing to do. Hope she comes to her senses, beg and plead, like, you're drunk, you don't know what you're doing, So, that was a white woman too. It was another white woman was in there. I've seen several white women. There's a white woman that was making meth. There's a white woman that held a daycare up with a pin. She was on meth. So there's another article here. Louisville councilman wants buyouts for flooded homeowners, by Theo Keith, October 9, 2013. So Louisville Metro Council's president said Louisville should spend millions of dollars to buy out homeowners who face weeks of cleanup after recent flooding. Weekend storms dumped nearly 6 inches of rain on Jefferson County, flooding homes and apartment units. There was a heavy rain here, and Jim King has a lot of residents. The speaker of the city council, the chair of the city council, so he's got residents who need some money, and he wants to apply for some FEMA grants. Buyouts already happened in other flood-prone Jefferson County communities along Maple Street in Louisville's West End. So Maple Street in Louisville's West End is getting some FEMA buyouts. So through FEMA and through your local representatives, you may be able to get some financing if you're in a house that's always flooding, to get out and be able to do something with yourself to get out of that predicament. There's Josh Kaufman, October 9th, wave3.com story. He's Louisville, Kentucky. A woman in charge of 8 children lost them to the care of the Home of the Innocents because narcotics detectives determined her alleged use and sale of marijuana endangered them. So this lady, Michelle Oliver, she's, by some narcotics detectives, Josh Kaufman, doesn't say who they are, because Josh Kaufman is protecting the police. He's protecting the establishment and the machine. And they said it's arrested on marijuana charges. So was she actually endangering her kids, or was this a peaceful small business operation that wasn't endangering them, and now the police have just destroyed a family? Maybe that was her main source of income. Maybe that's how she made money, so the 8 children had clothes and food and had all the needs, that they needed. So instead of allowing her to carry on with her business, these narcotics detectives are getting into her private affairs, to her private business. And if it's weed, it's marijuana, so it's not meth, it's not crack, it's not heroin or even alcohol. She's not even a drunk. This woman isn't even an alcoholic. Michelle Oliver, yeah, she smokes pot. She's dealing pot. That's what they say. That could all be speculative too. That could be horseshit. They always make that shit up. They could just be saying it, and we're just supposed to believe it. So even still, it's possible to be a good mother and a good family person, and raise your children free from harm. Marijuana doesn't make you violent like alcohol does. It makes you hungry, happy, sleepy. Hungry, happy, sleepy. So the only thing that might happen, she might eat up all the food, all the snacks. She might fall asleep, on them, or she'll be happy when she's around the kids, which, everybody always complains about how horrible children are. Maybe being happy around children isn't a bad thing. The children, if she was happy, the children would be happier. So yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. This is fuck the police for this shit. This is such bullshit. Okay, Michelle Oliver does not need to be in jail, and the kids does not need to be in the home of the innocents. Now that those police officers did something good, where are those children going to go? The home of the innocents. Now they're in an orphan asylum. Were they her kids? Were they, her family's kids? Her sister's kids? Instead of being around family, now they're going to be around strangers stuck in a system which created Charlie Manson. That's not good.